Well, good morning and welcome to Second Chance Stroke Survivors. Our Second Chance podcast, my goodness, take two. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast Survivor Experience. I'm your host, Aaron Almla. Today I've got a real special guest. To be the first guest I've had on my show, on my podcast as cardiologist. And her name is Tracy Paeschke. And I want to let you know this is a Stroke of Genius podcast survivor experience really opened up to any type of survivor, whether it be a heart attack, whether it be a stroke, whether it be brain injury. And this is I'm really excited for this guest because really this is the epitome of survivor experience. This is critical. What we're about to talk about is your heart, people. Let me tell you, without taking good care of it, it's going to be end a lot different than mistakes from us. So let's jump on there. So let me bring JC on. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast Survivor Experience, where I believe mindset is the foundation of your recovery. I'm your host, Aaron Avila, a 13-year post-survivor of a brain aneurysm and stroke. Join me now as I share survivor stories of resilience and triumph around the globe. So without further ado, let's get to it. Hello, Dr. Tracy.
Hello, Aaron.
Thank you so much for being one and honor to have you because I think, the stroke, and a lot of people out there think a stroke with brain is heart related, but it's not. It is a brain attack. We're about to bring awareness to heart attack. And I would think, I told you in the green room, I've been in the wheelchair 14 years. And a lot of my stroke survivor community are susceptible to heart attacks. So hopefully you can think of some tips that we can share that. So please introduce yourself.
Sure. So thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Tracy Paeschke, and I'm a preventive cardiologist. So I've been a cardiologist for about 25 years, taking care of people after they've had their strokes and their heart attacks and their heart failure. So now I've pivoted to more prevention. So helping people prevent strokes and heart attacks and heart failure. So it's, just using the things that I've learned over the years to help people. It's a lot easier to prevent disease than cure disease, right?
Right.
In the U.S., we do a great job treating people. I mean, you're a perfect example of this, right? You had your aneurysm and it caused a stroke, and it was fixed, and you've done great, right?
Yep.
But really, for most kinds of stroke, there is a connection to heart disease because it all falls under the umbrella of cardiovascular disease, right? Because most strokes are caused by either a plaque either in the brain arteries or in the neck arteries, or a little piece of clot that originates often from the heart and goes to the brain. So cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of men and women across the world. And again, we're great at taking care of people's acute problems, helping them survive their stroke and their heart attack. But we're not that great at helping people prevent those events, right? Through knowledge, through education like this, right? That's what helps. Our healthcare system's a little tricky on that because, these days we don't get a lot of time with our physicians. And, there's this culture of just give me a pill and I'll take the pill and I don't have to change anything else. But that's not really the case. And I think we'd all be in better health if we kind of get back to, how it used to be, like where we were focused on taking care of our body, right? So
Right.
that's what I aim to help people do, to understand that we do have a lot of control over our health. Some people say, well, I have my dad had a heart attack when he was 50 or a stroke when he was 60, and that's just my genetics, and that's what's going to happen to me. Well, we know that's not the case. They estimated that only about 20% of heart disease is genetic. So that means 80% is lifestyle related. So, and that's empowering, right? Because we can control that part of it. We have a lot of say over that. And, I always tell people no one's going to care more about your health than you are, right? So you have to be your advocate. You have to be knowledgeable about things and your health. And so you can make good decisions for your health and your families, but specifically for your health. Um, that's the empowering part of it, right?
Yeah, you said a statistic a minute ago. I think you said 80% of heart attacks are preventable.
That's right. It's related to lifestyle factors. So
That
then,
is huge.
yes, it's huge, right? But it's also good news, right? Because that means we do have a lot of control over it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I think stroke was like 70% or something. It's controllable and
Right,
preventable. And
right,
really what you're doing is really there needs to be a lot more clinicians like you doing the preventative side of stroke and heart attack right down to school
right.
when
That's
it
right.
is.
Elementary school, right?
Right, exactly. No, we don't do that. There's a fast food restaurant in every corner, and I knew for a fact processed foods are not they're not good for you.
No.
So I'm curious, is diet the number one, or is it lack of exercise? What is the biggest thing people wrestle with out there?
I think most people would agree that diet is the number one thing that we need to change, we need to improve, right? So when I talk about this, I talk about the risk factors for heart disease, right? So we all know the risk, and some of these are the same for stroke, right? So things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, family history, all those things increase your risk of heart attacks and strokes, right? But
Right,
let's take it a step back further, right? So if we know that high blood pressure and high cholesterol and diabetes increase your risk of heart disease by a lot, actually, how do we not get those things, right? So that's how we take it a step back. So that's things like, and I use what lifestyle medicine, the pillars of lifestyle medicine, to teach people how to be healthier. I think it's easy to understand and it encompasses all the important things. So, the first pillar of lifestyle medicine is whole food plant based diet. So, that gets back to your diet ish point. So, if we, you know, the what we call the standard American diet or the SAD diet, right?
yeah,
That's too much meat, too much processed food, too much, you know, fast food, all those things that are not good for us, right?
right,
So we know that eating all those types of foods, it can increase our blood pressure. It affects glucose metabolism and causes insulin resistance, which can lead to diabetes. Uh, the World Health Organization has categorized processed meats, so things like bacon, deli meat, sausage, hot dogs, those are group one carcinogens. So the same group as asbestos and tobacco. So that's how bad those things are for you. So, a lot of Americans eat some form of processed meat every day, right? Um, we know that eating animals or animal products, cheese is very high in fat, it's high in sodium. Um, Eggs have cholesterol. Meat, so it's not just red meat, because a lot of people say, well, I don't eat much red meat, but chicken, pork, all that has cholesterol in it. Our body makes all the cholesterol we need. So when we eat animals or animal products, we're eating cholesterol. And maybe just as important, no fiber. There's no fiber in animals or animal products. And Americans don't get near enough fiber. There's lots of evidence that fiber helps our gut health. It helps prevent certain kinds of cancers. It helps move our bowels so we can have nice bowel movements. It helps our gut microbiome. So there are a lot of reasons to increase the fiber in our diet. So you don't get fiber from eating animals or animal products. You get fiber from fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Leafy greens are a great source of fiber. Nuts and seeds. And so getting back, if there's one thing we could do, it would be getting back to a whole food plant-based diet, right? So like your grandparents used to eat, right? They had a garden probably, and they grew things, and that's what they ate. They may have had some meat, but it wasn't every day, and it wasn't half a plate full of meat, right? So really rethinking this and rethinking what you're putting in your mouth, right? So I tell people to think of, go back to that. Your body's a temple, right? And again, no one cares about your health as much, or should care about your health as much as you do. So every time, be more mindful. You talk about mindset and stroke survival. It's mindset and health too, right? So every time you put something in your mouth, just take 3 seconds and think, is this good for me? Right? Is this helping me or hurting me? That's a simple way to do it. Well, if you're eating an apple and a handful of almonds, then yes, that's good for you. If you're eating a Big Mac and a big gulp, no, it's not, right? So it's just sort of reframing how you think about it. It's just like when you're not going to put water in your gas tank, right? You're going to fuel your vehicle with good fuel, right? So it's the same thing with our body. We want to fuel our body with good fuel, which is lots of plants. Beans are great. Some of the longest lived people in the world eat a half cup of beans every day. So think about ways to incorporate more beans into your diet. Leafy greens are great. And all these things are good for brain health too, right? And that's the beauty of it. The things that we eat for our heart health it's not like you have to eat something for your heart and another type of diet for your brain and another type of diet to prevent cancer. It's all the same. A whole food plant-based diet prevents heart disease, prevents stroke, lowers your blood pressure, makes your blood sugar more stable, um, prevents certain types of cancers, decreased incidence of autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. So it's great for everything. So it's an easy, sometimes it's hard for people to transition to more plants and less meat just because we've been eating that way for 50 years or whatever, right? And food has a lot of social connotations to it, right? We go out to eat with people and we go to barbecues with people and we're eating a bunch of meat. So it can be tricky to make a change. But I tell people to start slow, um, start with a meatless Monday, right? So on Mondays, instead of, for instance, making your tacos with ground beef or chicken, you make them with black beans and brown rice. And then put your dairy-free cheese on there and your salsa and your lettuce and add some other veggies, and you've made a transition without even trying too hard, right? And you might find a lot of people find that when they eat less meat, less processed food, less white food, No white rice, white bread, white pasta, because those are all processed, even though you may not think of that. They are too. Um, a lot of people find when they eat things in their more natural state, they feel better, right? Their mind, their brain's clearer, they have more energy, they're sleeping better. So again, it can have positive other effects.
Yeah, you mentioned something I want to get back to. Really, kind of a bell went off. And it's a buzzword that is commonly used out there, whole food. What does that really mean, Doc? What does it mean to eat whole foods? Don't know.
Well, it means so instead of, let me think of an example. Um, instead of, so whole foods, think of it, I tell people to think of it as it comes out of the ground. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard people say as God made it.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, right. So so as it comes out of the ground in its most natural form. So again, take the rice example. So, a lot of cultures in the world eat a lot of rice and they don't have any heart disease, right? Well, it's less processed. So, the way they make their rice is different than the way we make our rice, right? But let's say even rice that is white rice, they take brown rice and they change it to make it white rice. Same with bread, white bread, right? They take wheat and all the things that make bread and they process it where it looks white because some marketing person years ago figured out that we Americans like white things. We'll eat more bread if it's white and not grainy. It look like grains, right? So what they've done though is they've taken, as they process that stuff, they take away the nutritional part of it, right? So then you could say, well, I'm still eating some wheat and bread, but yeah, but it's been processed so much it's not even recognized as
Right.
wheat, right? So whole food means as close as you can get to how it came out of the ground.
That really probably is one of the biggest. I know it sounds just simple, but our reality, like you just said earlier, we've been raised that way, been trained that
Mhm.
way. And you and I were talking in the green room and saying that the prevention should start in elementary school. And I was never taught, well, they give us the pyramid, the nutritional pyramid, which here there's some question of that accuracy, but there really is not anything taught about heart, taking care of your heart, taking care of your body, eating right, stroke, nothing. But yet, I go down the street, I can get past 3 to 4 fast food restaurants on each corner. It's
Right.
crazy.
Well, even in medical training, in medical school and residency, doctors don't learn about nutrition and prevention in most places. Um, some medical schools are trying to change that a little bit, but it's focused on treatment of disease instead of prevention.
Yeah, you've given me a whole kind of. I'm, the CEO of Stroke TV Media. You give me a whole different perspective on prevention. I mean, prevention is a key. Not, I help people that have strokes already, or
Right.
and now I've had
Yeah.
heart attack survivor on my. I got heart attack survivor on my pocket, but they would have done the prevention. They would never be in this place, never be in my podcast. So
Right.
prevention is a key.
And don't forget, so there are two kinds of prevention, right? So there's primary prevention. So preventing a first event, right? But there's also secondary prevention. So preventing a second event. So people who've already had strokes and heart attacks, it's never too late to change your lifestyle. There are some famous programs. There was Dr. Esselstyn at Cleveland Clinic. He would take patients, heart patients who were so sick they can't walk across the room without having chest pain, and they were turned down for second and third bypass surgeries. They've already had one or two, and they've already had heart attacks. They were literally sent home to die, these patients. And
Right.
he took this group of, I don't remember how many in his original group, but 20, 30, 40 people. And he put them, he didn't even do any of the other things like um, exercise and stress management and sleep. He just put them on a whole food plant-based diet, no oil. He cut out oil because there's some concern about oil can affects the arteries. So he was very strict, no oil at all, even olive oil, nothing. So whole food plant-based diet, cut out oil altogether. And his people, I mean, the reversal of diseases, it's amazing. Yes. So he has actual angiograms where they put the dye up in the arteries and take the pictures before and after. And as a cardiologist who used to take those pictures, I can tell you it's an amazing the way they look after following this diet. And it doesn't take long, a couple of weeks actually.
Really?
Yes. So these changes that I'm talking about today, they're good whether you're trying to prevent a first event or you're trying to prevent a second event, right? Because even if you've had a stroke, you don't want to recover from your stroke and then die of either another stroke or a heart attack, right?
Right.
So all these things can prevent second events too.
But it sounds so. I wanted to lay down our challenge, Steve. I mean, I'm going to personally take it on too. And Dr. Tracy mentioned earlier today, I challenge you to start me this Monday. Now, today, you start me this Monday, starting today. And so that will be next Monday, will be our first meet this Monday. And if you're going to participate in this challenge, please put in your comments that you're going to be participating. I think it's great. Thank you for bringing that up, Doc. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So I'm
great.
curious, how much? I told you the agreement. I was 14 years in wheelchair, and I try to get a little bit extra. I do 20 minutes of cardio a day, 15 sometimes. I do some floor work. I walk, use my rail, and that's about it. How much? How we know I'm bad just because we should begin.
Right. So the second pillar of lifestyle medicine is move more, exercise. So, and that means different things to different people, right? Um, some people don't like to go to the gym. Some people can't go to the gym. Some people have a treadmill and they like to walk on that. Some people like to go for a walk in the neighborhood. So, the American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise every week. Okay. So that's the recommendation from the American Heart
150.
Association.
All right, great.
150 minutes of moderate intensity. So, like, walking at a brisk pace for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, to add up to 150 minutes, right? Now, I think that should, and then of course we need to do some strength training for our muscles and bones, right? So lift a few weights or do some resistance exercises. I think that should be the goal. Now, there are a lot. Have you ever heard of the blue zones?
No.
Blue zones are places in the world where there are like 5 places in the world where people live the longest and the longest in good health. So they live to be 100 and they're active and vibrant until they die at 100. And one of the things they have in common is they're all very physically active, but it's less, they don't go to the gym, they have a garden or they do yoga or they walk to their neighbor's house. So it's more everyday movement. They vacuum the floor every day. Something to be more active, because again, in our society, we sit a lot, right? Some people, because of work or whatever, some people like you, where your mobility is an issue. So you have to think of other things you can do to move. So just like you do, um, can do some chair exercises, um, anything that gets your heart rate up a little bit, gets you breathing a little heavier. That's good for your heart, and it's also great for your brain. Exercise is one of the best things we can do to keep our brain healthy. So exercise needs to go on the list of things to think about every day.
All right, so that's another challenge. I got meat is body and increase exercise for sure.
Yep.
We're here to prevent a second stroke or heart attack. I know,
That,
don't kid yourself. I know personally someone. His name was Michael Bew, and he had a stroke, and sometime later had a heart attack. He survived that too, like a man. But
right.
the key is prevention.
Right.
Like you just did when we're talking. Let's back up. Let's prevent that. Let's eat different. Let's exercise. Let's do stuff now that we do that will prevent the second occurrence in the future. So that's really great advice.
Yep.
Really great advice. So I'm just getting curious. Uh, what are you seeing out there as far as what is the main reason for heart attack in people nowadays? What is it? What are you seeing?
Well, I think it's a combination of all these lifestyle factors, right? So, we eat a crappy diet, and we don't move. We're too sedentary as a society. Um, we have a lot of stress, so that's another pillar. Stress management. We have poor sleep, and that's another pillar. Um, Social connection is another pillar, and a lot of people don't have a lot of social connection, right? Um, and the last one is avoiding risky substances. So things like tobacco, alcohol, and smoking marijuana.
Right. So let's recap. We're almost out of time, but I want to recap. Go over the pillars again. I want to give
Yep.
you a chance to be very clear. The pillars.
Yep.
You call these as pillars of what? What are they?
Lifestyle medicine.
Right.
So these are all the lifestyle things that are going to keep us healthy. So whole food, plant-based diet, which we've talked about. Um, Move more, exercise, restorative sleep. So good, healthy sleep. We want to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, and most Americans don't get 7 to 9 hours. Sleep is where our brain washes away the day's toxins, right? So we want to keep our brain healthy along with our heart. So we want good restorative sleep. Um, Stress management. So meditation, prayer, journaling, any sort of relaxation, taking time for ourselves to rejuvenate, restore our mental health and our physical health.
Right.
Social connection, so forming bonds with other people, right? We know that people, after they've had a heart attack, and I'm certain stroke as well, if they're lonely, they don't do as well.
No.
So we need to build this social network. So whether it's over video like this, where we connect with people, or church, or wherever you worship, or you meet with people and have hobbies that you do together, or you call up an old friend and reconnect. Those social connections are good for humans are social creatures, right? So all that's good for our health. And then the last one, avoiding risky substances. So don't smoke. I would say no alcohol. Newest data on smoking marijuana, it's not good for the heart, so I would avoid smoking marijuana. So avoiding, again, be mindful of what you're doing to your body, right? Is it going to help you, or is it going to hurt you? And that's
I think if there's one question, we're out of time, we're pretty much with the podcast. But if there's one question I could begin to ask myself, that you made really obvious here. Is it good for me or bad for me? It's real basic. I
right,
put it in my mouth. Is it good for me? It's bad for you. But is a taco for taco Bell good for you? Bad for me. Is a Big Mac good for you? Bad for me. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Is drinking alcohol consumption bad for me? Probably so.
right,
So I appreciate, I can't wait. I want to have it again. I want to reinforce the prevention aspect of this because
right,
so many, like I said, you said 80% heart attacks are avoidable through prevention, change of lifestyle, use those pillars. And I'm pretty sure stroke is right near that. Stroke
probably.
is real clear, real near that. So it's like 70%. But Doc, I cannot thank you enough for being here. And I look forward to having you on again if you go on here. And we'll definitely lay down some more challenges and definitely get more into the prevention aspect. But I
Right.
really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. You have a great day now.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Set me on